My next guest is an actress who spent 6 seasons on the medical drama House, and now she's getting into all kinds of serious fairy tale adventures with Snow White, Captain Hook, and so many more on Once Upon a Time. Take a look.
What do I owe with the pleasure? It's on.
Yeah. I was wondering if you could take care of Henry again.
If you want to get close to me, you just have to ask. There's no need to use that as an excuse.
Well, I'm not surprised you're making this about you. I need your help because Regina needs to train me in magic. We think together we might be able to defeat the Wicked Witch.
That's the first reasonable plan I've heard since this all began.
Please welcome Jennifer Morrison. Good morning. Thanks for being here.
Absolutely my pleasure.
And happy belated birthday. You had a birthday on Saturday.
I did. Thank you very much.
Did you do anything fancy to celebrate?
It wasn't super fancy. I've been away for 9 months shooting Once Upon a Time, so it was a little bit of a homecoming and a birthday. So my friend Sarah Pantera helped me put together a party at the back room at Bootsy Bello, and I just invited a bunch of people, and everybody just had some cocktails and some dancing, and it was good.
Sarah Pantera plans a heck of a birthday party.
She does.
She played one for me once upon a time.
I
see where it went there. No, I saw you had at least two separate YouTube videos done by fans wishing you a happy birthday.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of weird everyone knows when your birthday is, but very sweet.
I was saying it's very weird when you walk into Starbucks and someone's like, happy birthday, and you're like, whoa, okay. But no, that's so sweet. I mean, honestly, like, especially with Once Upon a Time, we just have the most incredible fans. They're so devoted, and they're so loyal, and they're so passionate, and the time that they spend, it's really sweet and it's uplifting.
Well, funny you mentioned it. Let's shout out the two videos we're talking about. One was from Soul Ben Moyle.
All right.
And one was from Acro Gymnast. So,
well,
guys, you know that your videos made it through. They are recognized officially here on the Big Boarding Buzz Live. So there you go. Nice job, guys. And you mentioned the season's over now, back in L.A.
Yeah.
But you also kind of go back and forth during shooting.
I do.
Have you gotten that down to a science
Yeah, I
now?
do have it down to a science. I am TSA pre-approved. I have Nexus and Global Access, which means I don't wait in any lines. I know all of the stewardesses and everything on Alaska Airlines, and I counted my airline tickets yesterday just for this season, and it was 70. Exactly
just this season?
70, yeah.
You really, that's almost every weekend, it seems like.
Yeah, it was a lot. But it's the only way, like, I love what I do, and I love being in Vancouver for the show because of the beautiful forests and our incredible crew and all that stuff. But I need to keep my life going. I mean, it's years of my life. And so in order to see my friends and my family and continue that, I have to really commit to those 70 flights, you know?
I think global entry is the best thing that's ever happened. But I don't like to tell people about it because I also don't want a bunch of people to start signing up, and then that line gets long.
Don't do it, don't do it.
It's like a little hidden secret.
It also feels a little bit like Mission Impossible, where you're like, scan my fingerprints and I can get into your country, you know?
I literally just got it for my 18-month-old, and they put his little fingers on the fingerprint scanner.
Are you serious?
So yeah, you can get it when they're young.
That's amazing. Good to know. Not that I have any kids, but someday.
One day it'll be appropriate. Now I also read that you're good friends with Jennifer Goodwin, and you were even before this show came about.
Yes, we've been friends for years. We actually used to get confused as each other when we both had dark hair.
Oh, really?
And the first thing she said to me when we met, she was like, "I'm so sorry. I've been doing interviews with you because I just got sick of explaining that I'm not you." I was like, okay, awesome. But she at
least make you look good. I mean.
Yeah, I was like, as long as you're like saying nice things. But she gave me this birthday present 5 years before Once Upon a Time, which was like a custom-bound book of the Grimm's fairy tales.
Oh my gosh.
And she forgot she had given it to me. So when this offer came up, it was so crazy. My dates were a big problem because I was still working on How I Met Your Mother, and I had this offer for once. And How I Met Your Mother was amazing because they flipped their season finale with their episode before so that I could make the pilot work, which was amazing. So I was internally and still eternally grateful to Craig and Carter for that. But I just kept going, like, I know it's going to be okay because Ginny gave me this fairy tale book. Like, it's a sign. It's all going to be all right. And then I brought it to the first table read, and she started crying. She was like, I forgot. So, yeah, it was very cool.
That is very cool. It was a little sign.
Yeah, I hope so.
So you film a lot of these Neverland scenes inside, which I found interesting, to the point where you have to have a foliage wrangler, is what I read.
Sarah Greens is what we call her. Yeah, she wrangles our foliage. That does
sound a little bit dirty. She wrangles our
foliage. I need my foliage wrangled. So basically what happened is, because Neverland is always nighttime, there was not enough nighttime for us to shoot the hours that we needed to shoot. So we would shoot outside in the forest as much as possible, and then when we'd have that spillover of the hours that we needed, we would go inside, and they took a stage and filled the entire place with potted plants. I mean, there had to have been I think there was probably 100,000 plants in there. I mean, these sound stages are big. They're really big, and they built this whole sort of hill that you had to climb up and a cliff, and they could rearrange it in multiple ways. But this poor woman, and she loves it. I don't mean poor woman like she doesn't love it. She loves it, but like she would be running around just like dragging pots in a million directions and clipping things, and ferns were hitting us in the face, left, right, and center. And
does she have like a forklift? I mean, how do you move big pots?
She had a team of people who did it, but she is also badass. I mean, she is like ripped and badass, and she would just like get in there and make it happen.
Big shout out to the foliage wrangler.
Sarah Green's shout
The show
out.
cannot go on without the foliage wrangler.
Thank you for our indoor Neverland.
And so I guess you have a little bit of a romance going with Captain Hook.
Yeah, I mean,
how can you trust Captain Hook?
What girl gets to love a true pirate? I do. Yeah, it's interesting. You know, we had this love triangle with Neil, who's the father of Henry, and then Captain Hook. But then recently Neil died on the show, and told Emma to sort of find her love with someone else, that he wanted her to be happy. And Hook is interesting for her because they're like kindred spirits. Emma was a pirate in her own sense. She was a foster child and kind of had to beg, scrape, and steal to survive, and she feels connected to someone who's lived that way, and they've both been abandoned and hurt in certain similar ways, and so I think they feel very, I don't know, they're connected over some of their past. And he's hot. I mean, there's that.
That always helps. Always helps.
Definitely helps. But she's, you know, she's got her guard up. She's someone who's like tough to get through. I mean, he eventually like has a line where he's like, I don't know, maybe someday I'm gonna stop chasing this woman. You know, it's just like she just makes him work so hard for her attention.
Well, she's a woman. I think you all tend to make us work hard for your attention.
I don't identify with that at all. But yeah, no, he's been good for her though. Like we're gonna start seeing in the next few episodes that he's really pushing her to find parts of herself that she's never really connected to before, and try to really. You know, in our story, what she's not owning is her magic, and that she is special in a certain way, and she's been denying that a lot in her life. So he's being a real positive force in her life to say, like, you've got to embrace this and be who you truly are. And I think that, you know, when someone comes into your life, even in real life, when you're not talking about magic, but you're just talking about being yourself, like, that you have a strong response to that.
Sure,
I definitely have a strong response to people who come into my life and go, like, I accept you as you, and I want you to be the best version of you. And he's doing that for her. And so, you know, he's someone who definitely has, like, made some shady choices in the past.
Who knew Hook had it in him? He's this caring, compassionate guy.
And I'm not going to lie, there is something very weirdly sexy about that Hook. Like,
On that note, we are going to go to break. I'm not even going to ask about that.